Good day. We're reading chapter 5 in Devon Harris's book, Keep on Pushing. Hot Lessons from Cool Runnings. He's from the Jamaican Olympian bobsled team. Overcoming Inertia, chapter 5. Ben Stein, American actor and writer, is quoted, "So many fail because they don't get started. They don't go. They don't overcome inertia. They don't begin." The author says, this is Harris. Excuse me. Oh my God, no. I had expended so much physical and mental energy during the team trials that I was totally exhausted. Once they were completed, I went back to my room in the officers' mess and crashed. I don't remember waking up even once during the night. During breakfast the next morning, my friends began calling me the Olympian. Apparently, while I slept the night away, it was announced on the sports news that Jamaica now had a bobsled team, and I was named as one of the team members. I was very encouraged by the news, but was careful not to get my hopes up too high. I needed to get some official word first. Confirmation of my selection to the team did not come until a few weeks later when I was given an airline ticket and told I was going bobsledding. When I arrived at the airport, I saw three other guys that I recognized from the team trials. These three of us were Army personnel. I was a lieutenant and platoon commander. Dudley Stokes was a captain and helicopter pilot. As I expected, Michael White was also selected to the team. He was a private and a radio operator. The lone civilian on the team was Samuel Clayton, an engineer with the now defunct Jamaica Railway Corporation. Our first trip was to Lake Placid, New York, to meet our coach, Howard Seiler. Howard, I believe, was an insurance salesman, but at the height of his bobsled career, competed on the American bobsled team and had a respectable fifth place finish in the two-man event during the 1980 Winter Games in Lake Placid. It was during that weekend trip that we saw a bobsled track for the first time. It was a massive winding concrete structure. The Lake Placid track was originally built for the 1932 Olympic Games. At the time, it was 1.5 miles long, but was later shortened to a mile and used for the 1980 Games. A few years after we got into the sport, the track was banned from use in international competitions. The long straightaways made it too fast and unsafe for modern day sleds, which were significantly faster than the sleds back when it was built. With walls that towered almost 25 feet above us, the track was at best intimidating. They have since built a new, safer track, and the old one is now used for tourist rides during the summer using sleds on wheels. That weekend, we also saw a bobsled for the first time. It was a crude, tiny lump of fiberglass mounted on a metal frame. The fiberglass hull, or cowling as it is closed in the front and open in the back. On the front left-hand side is a collapsible push bar for the driver. The four-man sled also has two collapsible push bars in the rear. These are used by the side pushers. The push bar for the brakeman is fixed. Until the 1960s, the drivers used a steering wheel to steer the sled. Today, drivers pull two D-rings, which are attached to a rope and pulley system that connects directly to the front axles to which the front runners are bolted. In theory, steering a bobsled is quite easy. You pull on the left D-ring to go left and right to go right. The front runners can only move 3 inches to the left or right. The challenge with driving a bobsled has to do with timing and intensity. The best drivers know exactly when to steer the sled and how much pressure to apply to the steering. The longer rear runners were fixed. I was having difficulty visualizing how anyone could get in one of those things running as fast as they were going downhill. What was even more harrowing, though, was imagining the sled traveling at such high speeds and still negotiating the track, especially the tight spaces between the straightaways and the corners. The brake was located in the back of the sled. It is simply a rake underneath the sled, attached to 2 levers situated either between the brakeman's legs or up against the side of the sled. The brake is applied only in the braking stretch, after the sled has crossed the finish line. The brakeman simply pulls up on the lever and the rake digs into the ice and snow to slow down and eventually stop the sled. While in Lake Placid, we went over to a local ice rink to train with the American team who were practicing their push starts. In fact, it was the same rink on which the Miracle on Ice took place in 1980, where the American ice hockey team defeated the Soviets in a startling upset. Now we were in town to perform a miracle of our own. The Americans were kind enough to lend us some old ice spikes and taught us the push technique. Although this was our first time pushing a real bobsled, the first time we were seeing more ice than what could fit in a tall glass of lemonade, and we were nowhere near mastering the techniques, the competitive juices began to flow. We wanted not only to put on a good show, but also to beat the Americans. Thoughts of a grand, impressive entry into the sport quickly gave way to the harsh reality of how difficult the road ahead was going to be for us. We watched the Americans dart across the ice as easily as a sprinter tearing up a running track while we shuffled, slipped, and skidded around the rink. This bobsled idea was no longer merely difficult, it was darn near impossible. We spent more time that day picking ourselves up off the ice than actually pushing the sled. Nonetheless, we kept on pushing, we kept on keeping on, and not only did we learn to walk on ice, we eventually learned to run on it really fast as well. We learned so well that by the third heat of the 4-man event in Calgary, only a few months later, we posted the 7th fastest start time. If my memory serves me right, then there were 28 sleds in the race. Pretty good for a group of guys who a few months earlier couldn't even walk on ice, wouldn't you say? More than 20 years after Calgary, people are still surprised that our team was formed. Some still think the idea hilarious, and I am still asked the same set of questions. How did guys from a tropical paradise get involved in a sport like bobsledding? Who came up with the idea? How did you practice? How did you manage in the cold? They still view our team in a lighthearted way. However, there is nothing lighthearted about bobsledding, notwithstanding the fact that you could get killed or seriously maimed. Bobsledding requires a excuse me. Excuse me. Bobsledding requires a high degree of discipline, dedication, and hard work. Oh my gosh. I think I'm going to stop right here because we'll start with 1996 in Calgary next week. Oh, okay. I will talk to you again later. And you take care. Have a good week. And I'll see you tomorrow. Old Kinderhook.